Yo, this is KaeDee.
And this is David.
And we are the K&D Exchange, where we exchange music, and as a result, we exchange ideas, bridging the gap between old and new, with all original music produced by. Enjoy. Yo, this is KaeDee, and we are back with another episode of the K&D Exchange. I am here with co-host, music aficionado, and friend. I say it every single time, but not in the same order. David, how's it going?
All good, man. How are you?
All good. Yeah, all good. All right, cool. So to returning listeners, thank you for staying with us. We really appreciate your support so far. This is what episode probably 7. How have I already lost count? 6 or 7? I think it's 7. Yeah, I think it's 7. Shit, man. Feels like we only started this yesterday. But yeah. But for those who are new, basically our format is simple. We exchange albums for each other to listen to for the following week. And we explain why we gave the album. Conversely, we explain what we thought of the other person's album that they gave to us. So it's like an exchange of ideas, an exchange of experiences and stories, etc. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's album exchange. This is our fourth exchange now, right?
Yeah.
So we usually start with the album that you gave to me.
Indeed. I gave you Ian Kelly's album called Kells Is D.E.A.D. Now, this was a recommendation from a very, very good friend of mine. He said to listen to it, let me know what you think. So I listened to it, and it's curious. It's curious music. And I wanted to know what you thought about it.
Okay, so as usual, I always start giving a little bit of background on the artist. So, but actually, there's not actually that much I could find about him.
Nope, this is new.
Yeah, and his lyrics aren't really on Genius or anything either. So I was like, okay. But I didn't know this. He's part of the record label called Jamla. Are you aware of them? Yeah, like Rhapsody, Ninth Wonder, their kind of thing. You know, I'm a huge Rhapsody fan. Big Ninth Wonder fan as well. Ninth Wonder fan. But this dropped at the top of... Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I love that tune that they did called No Future. Anyway.
What?
But Ninth Wonder and Buckshot.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant Ninth Wonder and Rhapsody. Yeah, Ninth Wonder and Buckshot. They've got a few albums, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's from the Formula one, the Ninth, something like that. It had a green cover.
Yeah.
I remember. That was my introduction to Ninth Wonder.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, no one. Yeah. And I ended up actually, I love Buckshot because I ended up going back and listening to. I didn't realize he was part of the '90s group called Black Moon, and they've got an album called. It's one of my favorite albums. How am I forgetting the name? Enter the Stage.
Yeah, okay.
That might just be a name of the song on there. But basically, there's a song on there called I Got You Open. And Eminem did a remake of it, or like a tribute of it, around the Marshall Mathers LP2 time. And he dropped it as like a bonus track he was promoting this like the Call of Duty game or something at the time.
Okay.
And it was like a hidden song with that. Yeah, that was sick. I wish Eminem would do a whole album like that, just tributes to the old school, but get the actual, because he got Buckshot on that just to do the hook, and he killed that shit. But yeah, Black Moon, that album, Enter the Stage, terrible mix. Like the mixing on that, it's not great, right? Okay. Somehow, I still love the album. Somehow, that's how good the music is. But yeah, so he's part of that Jamla Records. So he's among like quite a good roster. They not quite a really good roster. And he was on a compilation album that they dropped. I think a couple of years ago or in 2019. So yeah, a couple of years ago. but I didn't get a chance to listen to that whole album. So he probably just got lost in that kind of. There's a lot of artists on that, but he dropped this album end of January this year. So this is very, very new, right? We're 9-10 days at the time of recording into February. So this is very, very new. It's one of the first few albums on this show so far, which is also kind of short in comparison to the ones that we've done so far. Yeah, and you can kind of feel it. It's, well, according to Spotify, it's 31 minutes and 3 seconds long. I don't know why they need to tell you that part, but it's basically half an hour, right?
Yeah.
That's a solid kind of listening time, 30 minutes to 40 minutes. For some reason I had a preconception of what this album would sound like in my head.
Okay,
I don't know
like
why. What? Like based on the front cover, based on your recommendation of it, I don't know. I just, based on it, I felt like I had an idea of what like the beats would sound like and what he would sound like, because you said you heard it and you were playing it while you were at work and it kind of just kept playing over and over, but you just let it kind of play and you enjoyed it. So I was wondering, I was like, okay, I wonder what kind of sound it has then. You know, I'm guessing, and you told me it was a hip hop album, so I was thinking, okay, I had a kind of preconception in my head for some reason. The song One Time, that's towards the end, that's what I thought the whole album was going to sound like, with that more heavy boom bap type drums.
Yep.
I thought the whole thing was going to sound like that. It doesn't help as well that, you know, you have the intro at the beginning, that's cool, but then in the beginning of Misunderstood, it has that sample which has been used so many times, right? What's the original song? Do you know what the original song is?
I do, but I have to listen to it again.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Sorry, bro.
No, it's cool. I can't remember what the artist or the song is called, but I've heard it in the sample used so many times. Common used it, Lil Wayne used it.
Yeah,
and and Raskas used it as well. Wait. Apollo Brown and Raskas.
Nina Simone. Do you know what? Ignore me.
I don't know. Yeah,
ignore me.
I have no frame of reference, but so I heard that sample and based on my preconception, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to drop a certain way, right? As soon as that beat dropped, I was like, what the fuck is this? And that took me a while, like to really grow on me, because I really like the song now. Yeah, it's off kilter, it's off key, and it's just the drums are sound a bit delayed, and like it has that sound, but it's like but again, not everything has to be perfect and quantized and stuff like that.
That's it.
Yeah, and but when that dropped, I was like, that's not. And the way he came in straight away as soon as the beat dropped and he had that kind of high-pitched voice, I was like, okay, this is not what I was expecting. I was actually expecting a bit more of a just kind of traditional but newer, up-to-date kind of hip-hop album. Wasn't expecting anything weird, but then it came in like that. And there was kind of a trend across this album. Some of the beats, it's like they sounded like they should have been more traditional, but they had the delayed kind of drum kits and the weird sample interpolations and things like that. And it became a kind of theme throughout, but that added to its interest for me, to be honest. And Misunderstood, like every time I played the album again, I was like, yeah, this is a banger. Each time it went up a stage. First, it was like, what the fuck is this? Second time, it was like, oh yeah, it's this song. I remember when I was surprised. And then towards the end of the second listen, and then the third listen, I was like, I fucking love this shit. Like the song is stuck in my head. The chorus is stuck in my head. And the next song, Make Room, I don't know why he put that there, because like to me it was just, I understand maybe he wanted to slow it down after the straight like intensity of the first song. Maybe kind of, okay, let's I've got you in here, let's make it a bit more serious. But I felt like there were other songs which could have done that, and maybe I'm just not as much of a fan of the sounds of like the beat and stuff, especially coming from those weird off-kilter drums and that high energy. It's like it went to that song and I was just like, okay,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just kind of waiting for it to happen, waiting for it to go. I like the content on here though. The content really helped carry it, helped you get an insight into him. But then like what's interesting about the production is that it's not weird in the sense that it's not like Death Grip's weird, right? So it's not like, it's not Yeezus weird, it's not I can't think of anything else right now. It's not experimental, so it's not like off-puttingly weird. It's just weird when you listen. You're like, okay, wait, something sounds a bit off the needle, right? A bit off the mark.
Yeah. It's there's a couple of like examples where it sounds like the drums are behind the beat.
That's it.
Like it's really like sonically you can time it, right? But there's just something where it's just like a delay, like a 2 millisecond delay. And you can also hear it if you listen to like the bass lines and stuff. What you'll hear is like a partial note be played, and then the drums will come in just after that partial note has been played, and that's how you know that the drums are behind like the beats, especially the snare.
Right, okay.
So it's really normally the kick drum and the snare.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it sonically is very, very interesting.
It is.
You know, like I read a book by Jimi Hendrix. It's called Setting. Oh, sorry. It's about Jimi Hendrix. It's a biography of him. And in this book, it's called Setting the Record Straight. And it says that Jimi Hendrix didn't really play his guitar with patterns or how you would normally construct notes and scales and things like that. What he did was he played by color. So certain songs sound like a certain color. So like with that in mind, like that, when I first read that totally altered the way that I view music, right? Yeah. And especially with this album, the color gray, it just permeates the color gray.
It fit those, just the darker kind of hue colors in general, right? So even if it's like I think going off of that color thing, because I feel that completely. Like I a lot of the time with music, and when I associate colors with music, sometimes I wonder if it's because of the album covers or just the cover in general. But so I don't know if it's coming from me or if it's coming. But then again, maybe it's like, well, the artist chose that because that's how they were thinking of it as well. Do you know what I mean? So, because you know, we talked about in a couple of episodes about when the music looks like, when the artwork looks like what you think the music would sound like, and vice versa. You know? Correct.
Yeah, we said it about Sky Zoo and Kofi stuff. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. So So when you listen to Kofi and Sky Zoo, those particular albums, especially Music for My Friends, that one definitely like embodies the sunny, nostalgic kind of spirit, right? And youthful kind of spirit. I can see those colors in the beats, which is weird, but it makes sense. So I completely get that what you said, and I felt that with this. It was like murky colors, and I think maybe going off of that, maybe that's why Make Room for Me didn't make sense coming in straight away, because I got like really kind of light, airy, kind of blue kind of colors from that.
Yeah, sure.
It felt so drifty and dreamlike, and kind of just that the drum patterns, which are just the boom, 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 very soft and kind of in the background like that. It's like, okay, at the beginning it felt like a bunch of kind of steel, I don't know, grey and knives just coming at you, you know, with the hi-hats, just like, you know,
and like with his voice as well, coupled with his voice, his register is way higher than I thought it would be. Like when I hear like somebody say like Ian Kelly, I'm thinking, yo, I'm Ian Kelly, you know what I'm saying? But instead you got somebody up here.
he's got a bit of a
like I got a real sort of like, I got like essence of like, there was tiny bits of Drake that I could hear.
Okay, I was listening to someone else.
Yeah, but also like Be Real from Cypress Hill. I just got elements of that kind of...
In the first song especially, Yeah.
Yeah.
On the chorus, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Drake, I think I kind of get it.
It's just the way that he sort of slurs some words, or the way it's just maybe the way in which
no, I get you. Yeah, I get you.
But yeah,
I got like some Kendrick from some of his delivery.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially on the song. Which one is it? Repaired. I really love that song. He sounds like Kendrick on the hook. That's what I wrote. Yeah, and the beat was really good on that too. Yeah. There was this like this album was like you heard Joey Badass's album. I'm guessing you've heard, what's it called? All American Badass?
Blimey. So this is ages ago.
Yeah, this is from 2017. And he's got a blue back cover, and he's like sticking his middle fingers out the car. It's his more political album. And some people had a criticism that for them, the album it was one of those albums that didn't pick up until a bit later on into the album. So like you had to get through you had to warm while you're in the album. You know, we had a problem last time. We were talking about albums being a bit too top heavy, and then waning out towards the end. Yeah, I never know if I prefer this or not. I probably do. I don't know actually, but when there's an album that kind of is a bit of a slow burner, and some people that criticize that album for being that. I personally don't see it. I just see it as the vibe shifting, and I guess a lot of people weren't into the vibe of the first half of Joey's album, and then as it moved into the harder material in the second half, I liked the vibe of the first half and the second half. So for me, it worked. For me, it kind of moved like that. This one, it was a bit different for that. It wasn't vibe. It was more about, it was a bit of a rocky start at the beginning for me. Yeah. Because I love that first song, although that second song kind of slowed it down a little too much for me.
Yeah, man.
But then as it went on, it's like Tiny Caesar was good. I felt like if he wanted to slow it down after the intro, he maybe could have put that one in instead.
Yeah.
But Nobody, from that point on, is when it really picked up for me. Like Nobody, I love that beat. I love the intensity. That's the If They Shoot This Black Man Down song, right? And, you know, mum kind of, one of those kind of reflective things. My mum, you know, gave me these life lessons and how to maneuver myself in the world as it is. And, you know, regardless of this and that, I can't change this and that. So therefore I have to be like this and that and things like that. And that was really deep content-wise, really good content-wise. The beat was sick. Again, had that kind of off-kilter feel to it, which is great, but still accessible. That's a good thing. That's something I have to know about this album. It's still accessible. It's still listenable. You don't have to be sitting there with your kind of, with your like music snob friends and be like, yeah, I really understand this music. You know? When actually you would never play it by yourself, right? It's not like that kind of weird or that kind of off-kilter. But it's mainly the beats, but then it makes it more interesting how he raps over it because his voice is very versatile, right?
Yeah. The thing is, so the one thing about this album that I found as well is that the vocals and the beats should not work. They are almost diametrically opposed. Yet he's a bit of a wizard, and he somehow is able to make. I really rate this album personally. He makes really good music, and the bit for me, the crowning achievement is "Soul of a Man."
Yes, I was going to say that's probably my favorite song on there.
I listen to that and I'm like, I just feel good when I listen.
Yeah, that sample flip is so good. The beat is so good. Yeah. He's so good on it. Like the whole song just, it hit me as soon as it started.
It's excellent. And I find that this album is one that grabs you by the ears and says, just pay attention to me. Mm-hmm. You know, it's very, very, there's a lot of wisdom in it. There's a lot of, it's accessible music, but it's also very, like it's different enough to be to hold your interest.
For sure. Yeah. 100%. I agree with that. I think it's really well put together, but still, it still sounds like they went in with the intention. I don't know who produced the beats or anything, but when they went in with a certain intention, with like a certain sound, or at least he did. So if he was sourcing beats from produce, I'm only going to pick these particular ones or these things that lean in this direction. Because I mean, you had some like just bangers that are cool, like Gold Chain.
Yeah,
like, that was cool. The Passionate, that beat drop was really hard. And like I said, one time with those heavy drums, which I thought the album was going to sound like, sounded great as well. This, you know, you have albums where you hear the production on like the first couple of songs and you think, wow, this production's heavy, like it's so well put together. It fills up your headphones, or it fills up your car, or whatever you're listening on, and you can hear the detail and everything sits in the right place, and you just think almost like any beat that you put into this album will just sound amazing. It feels like the album is the conduit for just great production. Like anytime I listen to a Dr. Dre album, I think, man, what if Dre got his hands on this particular song, he can make it sound like the rest of this album does, and wow, that song would sound so different, you know? Like, because Dre's known for his ear for mixing, for like even down to frequencies and carving out space. That's why his stuff sounds just so good. And I don't know if you've heard his song that he did with Kanye West, which came out last year, called Wash Us in the Blood. Yeah, Travis Scott on it as well. And it's so weird.
Maybe, but I don't. I can't call to mind.
Okay, yeah. So Dre basically, I don't know if he did the beat, but he mixed it.
Right.
And because apparently they're working on a Jesus Is King. I don't know if you heard Jesus Is King. That's Kanye's most recent album. They're working on a Jesus Is King Part 2. Him and Dr. Dre together or something. Kanye's always working on random shit that he announces and then never drops, and it's just like I just don't care at this point. But
see, this is the thing. I found the whole. I found Kanye at that point like almost unintelligible. Like I just couldn't be bothered with him.
No, I agree.
I didn't buy into anything that he was doing, any of his antics. Like regardless of, I'm not saying that if he he quite clearly has mental issues and stuff. And I'm not saying that he's fully responsible. I mean, he's being enabled by people who should know a hell of a lot better than him. And I don't want to make light of mental illness, but the thing is, like, I almost, I bought into cancel culture because of Kanye and some of the stuff that he was saying. I was like, I can't actually believe, like, regardless of, what, you make good beats. Okay, cool. Like, you're still saying stuff that makes you look like an idiot. It's like, like with R. Kelly. Years and years ago, I stopped listening to R. Kelly because of the fact that he is quite clearly a creep, right?
Yeah, right.
We knew that.
That feeds into his music, right?
I knew this.
Like, it's a big part of that.
Yeah, we knew this as kids.
Yeah.
Like, growing up, anyway. Don't want to rehash it, but that's, that'll be another time.
That'll be,
The thing is, Kanye, like, for me, can't do him anymore, man. So, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I don't take, no. It's fine, because I don't take him that seriously anymore.
Yeah.
Since 2000, maybe like end of 2018, and then he dropped Jesus Is King, and I was just like, whatever, man. Not on it. And then he was like, I've got this other album called Donda, named after my mom, that's coming out. Now I've got this thing with this coming out. Now I've got this album that I'm working on with Dr. Dre, which is Jesus Is King 2. And I'm like, and I've got a song with Eminem. He did a remix of this. And then he's just on Twitter saying all this shit, and I don't even know if I can believe any of it. And I just don't get excited over it anymore. Like, I'm off the Kanye train, which I never thought I would. I held out for a long time, I defended him a lot. Right up to 2018, even when he dropped Yay, because he did those 7-track albums that he was dropping. Daytona, Pusha T, great. Then his own solo one comes out, and I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Doesn't even sound finished. But then his one with Kid Cudi comes out, and that sounds great. So it was so up and down, like I don't know how I'm supposed to feel, you know, about. And then you as a person, you're saying all this crazy shit, and I'm like, I don't even know what. But then it's like one side is mental illness, and then the other side you're saying this, and then the other side people are saying Kanye's always been like this, and it's like, yeah, I know, but not really like this though, has he? And it's like what you said about him being enabled. You know, that's not all fully his fault, but then at the same time, he's still the one doing it. So there is his partial responsibility in that.
Yeah, he's got agency. But,
yeah, exactly.
But
he's
you
not
know,
yeah,
it's difficult to know basically where, you know, one line starts and another ends. You know, how far is the mental illness affecting him?
Yeah, exactly.
Or how far is it like his own personality, or he's just lost grip on reality? Like, or is it just because he's married to a coven of witches who turn black men insane? But anyway, that's a totally,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was
totally different podcast.
Yeah. We'll do a Kardashian deep dive, don't worry.
Oh no, man! Half the NFL have done that.
Okay, all right. We'll watch every single Keeping Up with the Kardashians until we're up to speed, and we'll deep dive.
No, we definitely won't. It will be like Keeping Up with how many ways can David kill himself?
Yeah, but that'll be part of our wider podcast network, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah. It'll be an
Kardashian exchange. Oh, thank you. Oh, God.
Days.
Anyway, for a bunch of
Anyways,
people, let's end that then.
Yeah. So, in the conversation, Better, from this album, the Ian Kelly one, I thought that was a nice closing kind of song.
It's a really good way to close the album.
Yeah, it's nice. It ends really abruptly. Like,
yeah,
it just stops. And
yeah,
same thing happened with Misunderstood. That song just kind of ended. It was like he was mid-verse or mid-chorus or something, and it just stops. And then it went into the next song. But with this, because on Spotify, I think I said it one time before, like sometimes it goes into like a continuous like mix of songs where it based on what you are listening to, so the album doesn't just end. So when this happened twice, it actually came up with the same song. It came up with a Black Thought song, and I'd recognize it and be like, whoa, what? Like, has he just used a song with the same sample? But then I would hear Black Thought and I'd look at my phone and it's like, oh, okay, the album's finished, so it's going on to the auto mix thing. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it just suddenly stops, just like that.
I think it's a really brave way to end an album. It is basically like full stop.
Yeah, literally.
And it's unforgiving and abrupt. And it's, you know, listen to how I can create these, you know, tapestries of beautiful sonic arrangements. Look at these like lyrical compositions that I've got. His rhyming is really good, and his lyricism and vocab, like really good. And it's like, look at these amazing pictures that I can paint, because that's also another thing about his rapping. He paints pictures. He's an artist. He's really you're there like on his shoulder, in his like in his own mind, but also in situations that he raps about. I find that he's an excellent storyteller. And then
he is.
For him to just kind of, you know, he sort of sucks you into this whole big story, and then all of a sudden it's just like later
stops,
and it just stops. It's so abrupt. But I think it's a very brave thing to do.
Maybe it's tied into the title, the whole Kells Is D.E.A.D thing, and this is kind of the lead up to it, because there's a lot of that guy talking, narrating it through, and he's saying things like, maybe I could have done better with this, or maybe this is, but this is how I had to do. On the last tape I said I was done doing this, but I have to get this off my chest now. Things like that. Feels like a recounting of like his life or his experience. Then I guess it's like, bang, that's it, done. I mean, what was the name of the last song? It was called Better. Yeah. So maybe this is him just kind of, he just ends it like that, and it's like, well, that's it. Kells is dead, and then it's whatever he moves on to is moving forward. It's like maybe like a spiritual or metaphorical kind of ending, like death of his previous life or something like that.
That's how I took it. Yeah. Maybe that's the kind of way to read into it. Unless,
all in all, I thought this was a good, really good album. yeah, I just so interesting. There's not much about him online that I could find apart from a few interviews and things like that. And there's another guy called Ian Kelly who's an actor, and then there's another singer called Ian Kelly as well.
Yeah, I got confused. He's I think he's a musician, isn't he?
It came up under singer-songwriter, and I was like,
okay,
is that what we're naming rappers now? Okay, that's cool. Like, they're finally getting their due.
So I thought that, like, so when it said, like, Kells Is Dead, I thought that was, like, maybe his first rapper, like, moniker.
Okay.
And maybe, you know, he's now saying that Kells is dead, like, you know, that old life is done, like, very much like what you were saying. And now he's going as Ian Kelly, his full name, maybe, but...
Got you, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that.
But I think I read some blogs where some people were talking about him and how they'd found out about him through the Jamla thing. Because again, Jamla, Jamla Records. They're a label that I want to say I'm a fan of, but I can't really because I haven't dived in deep enough. Because all I know is Rhapsody, Ninth Wonder. So in theory, on paper. And now with Ian Kelly, this sounds like it's lining up to be a great label to follow, or for me to be a fan of. And I'm pretty sure if I do listen, like I didn't fully listen to the compilation album. I reckon if I did, in the same way that I did with the Dreamville one, it would make me, and like I'm a fan of TDE. I mean, they have a bit of a more solid, like they probably have one of the most solid rosters in hip hop right now. You know every single one of their artists. So, you know, and Griselda as well. I don't know if you know much about Griselda.
No, I don't. I'm going to admit to my ignorance.
No, it's cool because like they're just like newer, kind of really grimy, underground sounding guys, but they're making a lot of waves, and they're related. The main three. I didn't realize that till recently. So basically, these three MCs called Westside Gun, Conway, and Benny the Butcher. Benny the Butcher is one of my favorite MCs at the moment. Right.
So I messaged my friend the other day because I downloaded a Benny the Butcher album.
Is it called Tanner Talk 3?
Oh, do you know what? Let me just call the thing up for now. Burden of Proof.
Yeah, that's the newest one.
Hold on. I mean, let's see. This album, like, so I messaged my mate and I was like, have you heard of Benny the Butcher? And he turned around and was like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Like, where have you been? I'm ashamed. Burden of Proof. Yeah, that's what I got. I mean, Burden of Proof. Yes. I was going to give Burden of Proof to you, but...
Oh, so you've heard it?
So you've heard it? My goodness, I couldn't believe I've been sleeping.
I was going to write it down to give to you at some point.
Yeah.
Benny the Butcher album on this list, but it's not Burden of Proof because I actually, it took me a while. It's funny actually, because it took me a while. That's interesting that that's the first one you've heard and you're saying, yes, I would have given that to you because you really, really liked it. When I first listened to it, I didn't touch it again for like a while. Not that I didn't like it. It's actually different from his stuff before. His stuff before was much grimier, right?
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Now, when I listened to this album of his called Tanner Talk 3 back in 2018 or 19, and that shit's just, oh man, the beats are just so hard and grimy, but like in a way that it's like, they're not like boom bappy. They're not, then how would you describe it? They're not, it's like they're just sound beds for him to tell his stories, but he's so succinct in how he delivers what he's saying, but he's got the rhyme schemes at the end, like and stuff like that. And it's not just the end word rhyming, it's like the last 3 or 4 words, but it sounds so smooth, and he's talking about street life and it doesn't get boring. And it's just, he doesn't really do much in terms of delivery switch up on that album, yet it still just sounds so good. There's something addictive about the Griselda sound, and Benny is one of my favorite rappers just in general, right? At the moment. He's so good, right? But you should, actually I'll save it.
Well, the
okay, that's good.
I'm gonna go and listen, I think, to...
Okay, I've got an album in mind actually to give you. I might even give it to you today. I might switch out the one I was thinking. Okay, well, I'll see how I feel as it goes. Cool. But yeah, why did I mention that? I mentioned Griselda. Yeah, so so we've got like strong record labels in hip hop or like rosters at the moment. something like Jamla is like good on paper. It just needs a bit more of a push, or maybe it's designed to be a little bit more underground. You know, it's designed to not necessarily hit the kind of mainstream like that, because that kind of sound, like Rhapsody's sound. Rhapsody took a lot of time. It pisses me off when people don't know who Rhapsody is. Like, I'm thinking, still at this point, you don't know who she is. Like, talk about, oh yeah, man, there's so many new, like, I hate this whole kind of, we shouldn't treat female rappers as female rappers. They are just MCs alongside any MC, right? Regardless. But obviously, if we're, for the sake of conversation, right? We talk about, oh, now it's not just Nicki Minaj. KaeDee came into it and challenged that. Whereas, why did it have to be just one? Why did it have to just be one? Now, actually, it's at some point, I can't even pinpoint where, it got to this point where it's like, actually, there's loads of MCs who are female. It's actually kind of just normal now, which is sick, right? So, but back even during the kind of Nicki Minaj era, there were still people who were a bit less well known. So like Little Sims wasn't as well known. She's more well known now. And Rhapsody from the US like was one of those as well. Like, she's just so good.
Am I right in thinking she was in an Apollo Brown track? I'm sure he was.
Probably,
it's not on Sincerely Detroit, but it's on another one. Oh, I can't remember the album. I can see the cover, but I'm sure she's on that. Did he have an album called Grandeur or something like that? Oh, man.
Where he's sitting at the table and he's just like...
That's the one I'm thinking about. I think. It's brown. Is it brown?
Yeah, it's kind of got the brownish. He's wearing like a khaki coloured...
yeah, I think that's the one.
Coat or whatever, jacket.
Because there's another female MC by the name of Eternia on there.
Okay.
And this woman is...
I'll check her out.
Yeah.
Is she good?
She can rap, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's decent.
There's so many who are sick. Like Snow the Product, she's sick. There was one called... Yeah, there was... And I don't know where they are now, but there was one called Nitty Scott, MC as well. Yeah, she was on like some Static Selectors albums as
okay.
Yeah. Rhapsody, I remember hearing her in 2013 and being like, wow, she's just sick. Like, in the same way I'll talk about Benny, the way he kind of delivers things, and it's so succinct and so to the point, so clear, but yet so smooth and effortless. That's Rhapsody as well. And then now when I bring up to people and people are like, yeah, there's this new surge in female MCs, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sick.
It's been going on.
It's been happening for time, but then I'm like, okay, so this is like my opportunity now. Oh, so have you heard of Rhapsody? It's like, who? It's like, oh, how are you talking on this subject and you don't know Rhapsody? I mean, Rhapsody's beyond the female rap thing. I mean, she should never have just been in that to begin with, but I mean, she's elevated herself beyond just having to, you know, some people have that mentality that female MCs hang with the female MCs, you know, who's the better out of these. Rhapsody can hang with your favorite MC, right? It doesn't matter, male or female, black or white, it doesn't matter. She's just sick, period. Shay Noir is on her way there as well. Little Sims, Little Sims will fucking eat you apart. Eat you apart? Tear you apart.
I was going to say,
you alive.
Eat you apart.
Tear you alive. She would tear you alive. Yeah, I keep, it's like with the MJ conversation, I keep flipping slipping over my words when I get too on it. But,
you're getting excited and you're just forgetting how to, you can't word good. What's going on?
I can't do good word anymore. I can't word good. Yeah. Just shuffle up the fucking words, yeah, and you'll see what I'm trying to say.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, but Rhapsody's kind of like the J. Cole of this label, you know, where it's like it's her. She's like the main. Then there's like others on the label, but no one really knows who they are yet.
Yeah.
I'd hope that they get to Griselda and TDE type of level where everyone is a well-known name, not just because TDE is not just Kendrick and friends. You could say it's Schoolboy Q and friends.
Schoolboy Q, man, yeah.
Oh, you could say it's
you know, Schoolboy Q. I always thought I liked him. Right, I went through a phase of he's all right.
Okay.
And then I've come back to him like years later. Oh, he's just so good.
Oh, mate, Schoolboy is
Oh
fucking
my
incredible.
gosh, what's the? I don't know if you've seen a series called Mr. Robot, right?
I've heard of it.
Right, so there's a scene.
Joey Badass is in that, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I think he's in like season 2 or 3, whatever.
Okay.
But there's this one scene where like two of the characters are in a club.
Yeah.
And in the background, it's Schoolboy Q, Hell of a Night.
Oh yeah, that's a good tune.
And it's in the club. And then like I just remember I sort of obsessed over that scene. It's one of my favourite scenes like in television. And it's because of the song. And then I went back and listened to all of his albums out at the time. It's a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I'd been sleeping on him. I think that his music, like the thing is I heard it at the time that it was coming out.
Yeah.
Like all of his albums. As soon as they come out, I listen to them. But I think that he's of a rare breed where his music gets better with time. For me, personally.
Yeah. I feel you on that because he had an album called Oxymoron and that dropped into 2014. And I remember when I first heard it, like I was like, this is sick, but I was listening to certain songs from it, like Studio and there's one with Kendrick called Collard Greens and Hell of a Night. He had one with Alchemist on there, like Break the Bank. That's hard. Yeah, that song's hard. And then
yes, it is.
Yeah, but then it's like, you're right, because even for me, and then when Blank Face came out in 2016, it was the same thing. I was like, this is really good. Yeah, and he switched it up from the last album. This is sick. Yeah. Again, just pick out some songs that came into rotation. But then over time, it's like, I go back to Oxymoron, and it's like, okay, I'll just put this on as the whole album, play it from beginning to end. Yeah. It's not just pick out a few songs, it's beginning to end. Same with Blank Face. It's the whole project is kind of aged in such a way that you really start to appreciate it. It really stays in your mind and kind of sinks in there. That's what it feels like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's one of those albums. It's a grower, not a shower. You know what I mean? It's like at the time, like it's not like all up in your face, like look at me, like I'm amazing. But like over time, when you can sort of sit with it, and I'm talking, not just a couple of months, we're talking like a year or two, And I find that his music does that. Whereas I find that like guys like Ab-Soul, like love them at the time, but I don't feel their albums stand the test of time. There are a couple of songs by Ab-Soul that I absolutely love, like Just Have Fun. Love that song. And Book of Soul. Book of Soul is
so good.
It's a great song.
That might be my favorite Ab-Soul song, actually.
I think that's his best. It doesn't get better than that. It's just because, like, for those of you who don't know, just listen to the song, and you can't help but feel the aesthetic. You can't help but feel emotions for this guy, and very few songs can do that. And there's especially one lyric as well, like, oh goodness, it just gets me.
With the 2012 one,
it's Fall Off a Tower Trying to Find You, when he says that.
Oh, because the song's about his ex, right, who died. Well, she only became his ex because she died. Yeah.
But it details like all of his early life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Damn, guy.
Ab-Soul's deep, man.
Yeah, he's really
that deep. Lyric. Like, it's true what the mind said, 2012, my world ended, or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And I love the way he signs off that song as well, where he says, don't be dethroned by these systems of control. Just keep your fingers crossed and keep them locks off your soul.
Yeah. And the album's called Control System.
Yeah.
I need to listen to that again, because Ab-Soul was a big influence for me early on. Yeah, big time. But you're right, because Control System doesn't come up in rotation anymore. As much, because you're right. It sounds like from its time.
Yeah, it sounds like it's stuck there. It's got a stamp.
Yeah, but maybe Book of Soul and like Bohemian Grove and songs like that don't as much necessarily, because they have a bit more of a timeless sound. You can play it whenever. You can't pinpoint when it came out. Whereas I can tell from the production when about that album came out across the rest of it. The next one that he put out, I loved that album when it came out as well. But again, it's weird. You're right. I don't play it as much anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe a handful of songs, but I don't know. It just didn't. You're right. It didn't. It really. It was one of those ones that I listened to and I'm like, had it on repeat. Like, wow, there's so much to unpack in here. Love the beats. Love the way he raps. And then it's like I rinsed it, and that's it.
Yeah, and then that's it. And then once you're done, you're done. Yeah. I think that's, you know, you get different artists that can do different things. And Schoolboy Q is way more timeless. I mean, obviously, the jewel in the crown is obviously Kendrick Lamar. Like,
yeah,
I can still remember the first time I heard Rigor Mortis. Like,
mate, yeah.
I saw the video first.
Section 80.
Oh my goodness. And then I've been a fan ever since, you know. And his music, well, he sort of elevated himself so much that he created possibly one of the greatest albums of all time, hip hop albums of all time.
I'd say Actually, yeah. No, you're right. I was going to say two of the greatest hip hop albums, but I think actually, I don't know if they're in the same conversation as each other. Not because of quality. I don't think there's a quality dip in one of them, but it just feels. When we talk about, and we know we're talking about To Pimp a Butterfly, right? Yeah. When we talk about that album, it doesn't feel right to put, even though Good Kid, Mad City is amazing,
it's fantastic.
Definitely going to be a classic, right? Because it shifted the culture, and we had that discussion and everything. But To Pimp a Butterfly is just in this league of its own, regardless of hip hop. We're just talking music in general.
It's just music, yeah. Do you know what I think it is?
Incredible.
It's basically when, and I've been trying to think of a way to put this, like articulate this, and put this into words, but I'll give it a go. So you get artists, and you get rappers, and then you get like recording artists, right? So your recording artists are very much like your Tekashi 6ix9s and your Little Pumps and your whoever, you know, those guys. They're in it for the money. There's no substance, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no argument. Then you got your rappers, right? So you've got, you know, the guys like Nas, Sky Zoo, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Rappers. Yeah. But then you've got your artists. Now, artists, I think, and I don't know if I'm right, so, you know, have a go at me, like in the chat and emails or whatever, like, you know, in the comments and all that, have a go. But like, I think artists transcend like genre. And so, for example, like Prince, you wouldn't necessarily say like he's rock and roll, it's funk, or he's this or he's that. He's just Prince. MJ, like we said last week, he's just his own thing.
Yeah.
I think To Pimp a Butterfly was when Kendrick Lamar went from a rapper to an artist.
To something more, yeah.
He just, yes, you're a rapper or whatever, but what you're doing to music is, it's phenomenal. Like, take If These Walls Could Talk, for example.
I was going to mention that one too.
When I first listened to that song, I was just like, what a tune. You know, you can imagine it's very sensual, it's very, very cool, it's bombastic, it's really smooth, and it's sonically, it's beautiful.
So yeah, it just sounds great.
Then you hear the lyrics, and you're like, Kendrick, what are you doing here? Like, I thought this was a nice, wholesome, wonderful tune, and then you listen to the lyrics, and you're like, you've completely, and I mean completely, subverted my expectations. And it's just things like that he's done on that album, which I think, you know, it's transformative. What he did for the rap game with that album.
Oh mate, I don't think we can understate, like, or overstate, I don't even know what the right term is, but like the impact that had, because he didn't even have to make Damn in 2017. He could have waited. I think that album, To Pimp a Butterfly, is good enough for him to have taken like a 4 or 5 year break.
Do you know what? I agree, and I rate rappers or artists that do that. Yeah, I think it's great. You can't make music, like meaningful, good music, like, you know, sort of hammering it out like every year. Like, you got to have room to breathe. Like, you got to go through some stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, have 2 and 3 years in between albums. Now you're talking. Like,
yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think the way when it does happen for artists who are able to drop like every year, it's because they find ways to reinvent their sound and stay excited about it. Yeah. Or they've just had so much life experience leading up to it that, you know, when it says, people say your first album is your easiest album to make because it's the one where you're fully just letting go and telling your story. And then it's like, after that, if you rinse out everything, it's like, well, where'd you go from here? Right? Especially for MCs, like, what do you talk about now? And there are definitely, like Jay-Z showed, there are ways of still being able to create interesting projects when you're in your older age about things that happen. Although life did happen in that sense, you know, with certain things, but he's also coming from a different perspective on 444, not just with his relationship, but with
buy it, mate. He's had his whole life to write that album and to be conscious and all of that. Listen, I first came across Jay-Z with like, I don't know, It's a Hard Knock Life and Girls, Girls, Girls and all of that stuff. So while you're rapping about all of that, you know, it's all good, all the money and the Benjamins are coming in. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're a bit older now. You're a little more irrelevant. Oh, I'll release a conscious hip-hop album.
I don't know. I'm not that cynical. Because
I don't buy it.
No, because leading up to that, I was having the same feeling, because I was thinking, because this is the thing, he dropped Magna Carta Holy Grail, and that album is full of the problems that you're talking about, which is like, he's trying to adapt to the newer age with the beats he was jumping on, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, granted, there were some good tunes in that, because he's Jay-Z. He can still rap. He's got a good ear for beats, whatever. Not all, you know, not always, but for me at least personally. But it's what he was talking about as well, is that after a while, you're like, what exactly more are you giving us? This sounds like you just phoned it in because you want to just kind of, you have your Samsung deal and you want to just kind of get some stuff out there and whatever. Jay's like, at this point, I remember thinking, Jay, like, every time you jump on a verse, that's when you sound fired up, because you sound like you're, and you have to show out. Then you just become an MC where you're just like, I'm just, in my verse, I'm just going to make sure I rap really well, a lot of double entendres and stuff. I enjoyed all his guest verses that he would bring out. And then he didn't drop an album for, what, 4 years? 444, 2017. All the life stuff happened, as in his relationship issues, his losing. He's got kids at this point. I think he only had Blue Ivy on when he did Magna Carta. But then he had the twins. He almost like lost his family because of the stupidity he was doing and all that sort of stuff. And it feels like it. Yeah, again, I'm not cynical enough to think that was all.
Hey
staged.
Man, listen, stage stuff happens all the time.
I'm sure it does.
Like,
I'm sure it does. Yeah. But I don't know. This one, it just didn't. I don't know. It makes me wonder if someone like can write an album like that, and it all come from a place of just pure like manufacturing, because it just felt so real. It felt so authentic, especially the song Smile. And especially when he's talking about, like, you know, he's talking about his mum and how he's only just realized when she was only just then at that point brave enough to come out to him and say that she was bisexual, and she had been this whole time, and she'd met someone who was a woman, and she was finally happy, and she did the spoken word outro on that. His verses on that are so meticulously written, so well put together, and just so story of OJ2, the songs, the Family Feud one, like I don't know, it doesn't feel manufactured to me, right?
Yeah, man, cool.
Whereas the album that him and Beyonce dropped together after Lemonade came out, after 444 came out, that felt like a little bit of a kind of, well, I dropped my album exposing you as a cheater and all this sort of shit. You dropped your response where you're trying to grow up a little bit. We're going on tour now. Let's drop this together and just drop some bangers and make it seem like this is part of the trilogy. Like it was just songs for that summer. That's what it felt like, you know?
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
You know, that felt a bit more manufactured, a bit more like, well, we've got this story. Let's just cap it off and get, you know, all the eyes are on us now. Let's just cap it off. We're on tour. Let's just put this together. That felt like whatever. That kind of came and went, you know. 444 to me didn't feel like that, and I get it. I get it. He would drop little bits of nuggets like this throughout his career, but you know, on the Black Album, he says, you know, what does he say? He says something about common sense. Then I stacked up my paper. I haven't been rhyming like common sense. Like, he was very open about that he made songs like Big Pimpin' and things like that because he was coming from a hustler's mentality.
They were bangers. I'm not gonna pretend like they weren't.
Yeah, right.
Bangers. I still love a lot of that album. Blueprint, boy.
Yeah, Blueprint. Great album.
Boy,
the production on that was like the first time Kanye was getting a lot of his shine as a producer. This is like pre rapping Kanye.
Yeah, so I told, I think I said on like one of the previous like pods, like the first time I ever heard Kanye was on a Scarface track called Guess Who's Back.
Guess Who's
Like,
Back. Yeah.
It's like Jay-Z says Kanye West on the track. I'm like, who the hell is Kanye West? Whoever he is, he's a flipping genius. You know, yeah. What a talent. But anyway, all right, listen, dude.
Let's so we
top 5 songs and a rating, please.
Top 5, yeah. So Jamla, step your game up. But yeah, no, that was the big conclusion to that. But yeah, no, I'm joking, you're doing great. So my top 5 songs would be Misunderstood. Great way of opening the album, banger. Nobody, because that's when my ears perked up again. And then they went into a streak, so Nobody, Repaired, Soul of a Man, the best song on there. And then there's a song called The Passionate, which was good. That had like one of the few features on there.
Yeah, did.
Yeah. My rating, struggled with the rating. I didn't know what to, I just tried to go and feel. And
it's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, because in my head, I came up with 7.5.
Cool.
And again, like last time, like what you had with your rating, I was wondering, why is it not higher? Because it seems like I enjoyed it, but there's, I think something, again, I am a little bit harsh on albums when it comes to things like sequencing and
sure,
if the vibe changes too much. And
it's your show, bro.
I know it's my show. I'm thinking about from an artist perspective as well.
Yeah.
You know, all that sort of stuff. But I think I'm going to stick to the 7.5. That's how it feels for me. I hope that the next album he does will just step it up, basically, the level. Because this was great. Yeah. But it feels like, you can, it's not what, you have albums where you're like, man, I don't know what they're going to do next. This is just so good. This is so really, really good. But I'm guessing because it feels a bit relatively new. Like, I'm looking forward to what you're going to step up into, right? And I hope that it keeps going, like, upwards, basically. I hope he becomes a household name, to be fair. That would be great.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I think he's good enough. I think he's quirky enough. His voice is weird enough.
Definitely.
When it comes to this, the musical arrangement of his songs, I think he's really good. Production on this is top drawer.
Yeah, that's what really perked it up for me.
Yeah.
If you've got that ear for beats, then that means you've got a kind of ear for, you're not going to just stay in one particular lane.
Correct. Yeah. It's a very, very. I think it's a really brave album.
For sure.
From the way that I see it, I think.
Yeah, really for sure. Yeah, looking forward to what he does.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be like the newest album we review for a while. So
yeah, probably.
we can still hang with the kids, man.
Yeah, we can, man. Yeah, we can.
It's not like R. Kelly, but
Oh yeah, no, for sure. No one's gonna do that, but yeah. Let's not creep ourselves out. All right, let's move this on. Let's move this on to the next album. So I gave you Madlib, legendary producer, probably produced songs I really like, and I don't even realize he's produced them.
Absolutely.
This, I don't know if you call it, let's just call it an album, but I don't know if it's like a beat tape or whatever it is, but it's called Beat Konducta Volume 3 and 4. So it's I think it's 2 beat tapes. It originally was split into, but it's all put together. It's called Beat Konducta Volume 3 and 4 in India. So what did you think?
So, all right, this is going to play out. All right. So I think it's a product of its time. So when I heard this album, like for this review, I thought to myself, got to be early to mid 2000s, like got to be. And so I looked it up. I think it's 2007.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, okie dokie, it fits.
That's a bit later than I thought. For some reason, I thought it was like 2004.
So, 2004, 2005 is, I think, when I first heard Madlib. But anyway, right?
Or Mad Villainy.
Was it Mad Villainy?
Mad Villainy was 2004.
There you go. Then I heard that.
That's probably why I was thinking of it, yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to this album, I am no stranger to like concept albums. So like DJs like DJ Shadow or Yoda or RJD2, like guys like that will bring out albums that are basically musical numbers, musical concepts. And so when I was listening to this album, I was thinking to myself one major thought, and that was, is it moving me like DJ Shadow's introducing it? Did it move me like DJ Yoda's How to Cut and Paste Volume 1? Did it move me like RJD2's first album? And it, maybe because I'm coming at it a little later in life, maybe.
Sure.
I think it's good. Like,
yeah.
It's
I can understand that.
But also, I think what's kind of cool is that for the time that the music that this album came out, I think what's cool is the fact that he's trying to unite East and West sort of culture. You got black culture, you got Indian culture. He's trying to unite them, and I think there was a period of time, especially around Busta Rhymes' "Fired Up" song.
Okay.
Where there was, it had Busta Rhymes' tune, but then I think there was like a Hindi version of it that was out and really, really famous. So I'm no stranger to the concept of having Indian sitar or Indian, instruments infused with, traditional hip hop, bass and drums, right? So
yeah, Timbaland did that quite a lot.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, he took like Afghan music, and he took so much, didn't he?
I mean, even for Big Pimpin' as well, like we mentioned before. I had an Afghani, I think, or something along like from that part of the world. They had a sample from there. Yeah. So he was big on that. Yeah, I think he was big on that. He took a lot of Indian samples, like for Missy Elliott, for Justin Timberlake.
Just gonna say, yeah,
all that those weird drum sounds. They're like double sounds.
I'm just trying to. What was that Indian tune? Drums. Oh my goodness! There's one tune in particular. Do you know what? It's gonna. But yeah. Anyway. Anyway, I'll be here all night thinking about it. But I started playing a game with myself throughout this listen of this album, and I started playing who would feature on this album. Like what rappers would sound real mint on some of these tunes. So you've got, the first tune, Enter the Hot Curry, that's the intro, nothing. But then you've got Indian Hump. And I was thinking, Redman.
Oh, that's a good shout. Good shout.
And then there's the next tune called Movie Finale, which, I like. It's cool. It's a Ghostface killer beat, if ever I've heard. Oh my goodness. Ghostface would murder that.
Which one?
The third tune, Movie Finale.
Oh, okay. Right.
Mate, Ghostface would murder them.
That's a good shout, actually, yeah. I'm going to listen back with these in mind.
try and do it. And I'm not going to do like every single song, because even though
there's like 34 of them.
34 tunes, but they're only a minute long. Like some are 2 minutes long, some are 30 seconds. So it does sort of balance out to the sort of 30 to 35 minute album time mark. And that's, again, something that you'll find indicative of albums like this. It's just concepts that you are listening to, right? Yeah. And so I'm going to pick out, there's one called Dancing Girls Theme. Mm-hmm. That's a RZA beat, if ever I've heard one. Because I was thinking, as soon as I was hearing it, I was thinking, Afro Samurai. This is the Afro Samurai movie. This is the Afro Samurai game.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, honestly.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's, there's just this. The thing about an album like this is I can't can't give you a more sort of comprehensive outline of what this album is. You just kind of have to hear it and experience.
I wouldn't expect,
I haven't got any lyrics to kind of course, give you any sort of added dimensions on top of it. But what I can give in this is like suggestions of who would sound good on these albums.
That's a good shout.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of times I got question marks, like, what even is like Fifth Chant? I'm like, I don't get it. There's a tune called Sitar, right? Which is, I just put the sitar is a really cool instrument. Like, it's underutilized. More Ice, it's all right. It's dramatic. Indian Bells is okay. Club Scene's okay. I had this one track. I'm just going to call it up right now. That's it. Duel.
Oh, okay.
You got Nore on that track.
Ooh,
that is a Nore track. Like because I haven't thought about Nore for a minute, for a long time, and then
he does that Drink Champs thing at the moment. Yeah.
I just thought about him and I thought, you know what, this would be absolutely amazing. I mean, and then like for the rest of the
fun MJ fact about Noriega, which is a weird combination to think of. Apparently when Pharrell was making the album Justified for Justin Timberlake, he sent most of those beats to MJ first.
Yeah.
And MJ's manager said, MJ doesn't want any of that shit. He wants what you're giving to Noriega. So all of that hard shit that you're giving to Noriega, he wants that. Can you imagine? That could have been 2006, 2007 MJ. You know, we were talking about if MJ was still alive and he had an album, or he put out an album after Invincible. That could have been the new direction that he went in.
Wow, that's amazing.
We're talking about Noriega. Pharrell seems like the right fit, but Noriega? Crazy.
Yeah, man.
Crazy. Yeah, but anyway, sorry, I just thought of that now.
That's all right.
It was so weird when I heard that, but yeah, go on. I thought you'd appreciate that.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah. I'll send you the actual song that he was talking about in particular.
No, I remember hearing this story, but yeah, please do. Please do send it. I mean, like this album, there's not really much I can say. I mean, do I think that that does it blow me away? No. But is it a terrible album? No. Is it something to listen to, like, to put on in the background? Yeah. Like, if it's a sunny day, stick it on.
Sure. Yeah.
It's really hard. And like to choose 5 songs.
That's why I gave it to you. This was like my subtle curveball.
I mean, like, I was so excited as well, like last week.
Yeah.
Give
that
it.
Played perfectly.
And I was and then like now I I mean, this is really hard to like talk about. I mean, like, I've basically said the synergy between East and West, the beautiful sort of nature of blending, cultures, not cultures, but like instrumentation, I guess, that is diametrically opposed. Must be a mad challenge and must be very, very difficult to do. The artistry and the vision to do this is really cool. The problem is, a song starts and then it will have like a little weird interlude in the middle of it, and then it will carry on, and you're just kind of like, I mean, it doesn't really necessarily flow in any kind of way. It's just a bunch of ideas. It is
fully
mad libations out here. That's just what it is. Madlib.
He's ad-libbing, but
that's exactly it. Yeah.
This is the thing. It is, I think, just a beat tape, right? Or it's 2 beat tapes put together.
Yeah.
But so it's not like a big conceptual piece or anything.
Yeah, it's not like I don't know, like 07 or something like that, where like you're gonna give me songs, even if they don't have any flipping words in them. Give me a song. Give me a journey.
Still be a song. Yeah, for sure.
Give me a piece of music. Give me something. But it's just, by the time you get comfortable with the beat, you're like shifted, and you're like, yeah.
That's very Madlib-esque. Like if you watch his interviews, he's very laid back, and he's very much of this kind of school of thought, which is people always ask him about his process, or like, you know, what do you ever feel like the beat is done? And he usually people are like, oh, I never feel like the music is done, I always want to change it and blah blah. He's actually the opposite. He's like, nah man, like people like adding stuff to the beats and changing stuff, not me. I make it and go and move on. Like that's it. That's just his process. And he's very much like that. He has a lot of music out there, but it retains that kind of, I guess, that raw salt, like that sound, because he approaches it like that. He's actually like the opposite of the perfectionist. He just goes purely off feeling. And you know, like you, when I heard this first time, I was like, I understood what it was. It's not like a big conceptual album, but I was like, okay, this is really interesting, but am I going to listen to it again? But then I did find myself coming back to it a few times, and it may be a bias because of the music that he's flipping, because he has a Beat Konducta Volume 1 and 2. I think there's a 5 and 6, and 1 and 2. Yeah. So 1 and each one is based on certain samples that he's picking out, and he's just really good at flipping samples. Like he's the kind of, he embodies that kind of crate digging thing, like going and looking for records and just finding sounds and sampling them and making like hip hop beats out of them. Yeah. And for me to find, because in the Asian community, we would have like remixes. You always find like remixes of Western songs, but with like Indian singers over the top. I used to hear that a few times, but there was one point where we started getting British Asian artists like Jay Sean and people like that who would blend the two together. So blend the more traditional Indian sounding music and bring it up to date. And that was really cool for someone like me, because it was like, okay, so blending of the two worlds. I'd hear my mum play Indian music in the car, and then I had my own music I was listening to. But them to kind of come together was just, in my opinion, I was like, wow, I didn't know this was even possible. And, you know, they were making actual songs out of it. So then, but sometimes it's hard to find more examples of that, and ones that are actually good and not just used as a crutch. I have this big issue with Asian artists who are Western. So like me, as in they're from the UK or they're from the US, but then they try to embody their like their Indian culture or their Indian roots into their music, but they use it as a crutch. That's really off-putting for me, because I'm like, you just identify purely as, this is like you turned it into a gimmick. You know what I mean?
Sure thing. Yeah.
It's more than that.
It's not authentic, you know, then.
It's not authentic. It's like, yes, you can be Indian, calm, but it's almost like you're it's gonna sound weird, it's like you're appropriating your own culture just for the sake of
just the capital gain.
Yeah, just to kind of show people like, this is my edge, this is the thing that makes me different. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but you've got to make it interesting. Jay Sean was really good because him and Rishi Rich was the producer who made a lot of this stuff, and there was another guy called Dr. Zeus. They made like a lot of anthems that got played at Indian weddings and things like that. Sure. And Jay Sean, he had this song with this guy called KaeDee, and Rishi Rich produced it. It's called Dance With You, and he's singing like in English in the verses. And then he's also a rapper as well. So he was doing this like really quick time MCing. But then KaeDee comes in and does the Indian part of the singing. In the background, you have all the elements that make up Indian songs, but it's updated and it's got this kind of hip hop kind of sound to it. I remember the first time I heard that and I saw that on TV, on the Indian music video channels. I can't remember what it's called, like B4U or something like that, or like Star India. I can't remember what these were called, but my mum used to watch them. It used to be all Indian stuff. And then that came on, and I'm like, whoa, this is like a guy like me, like an Indian English guy or a British Asian guy. And wow, this sounds actually sick. Like, this is a good combination of the two. But then there wasn't much more that I found afterwards, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean,
Yeah, so this is why I mean, apart from the Jay-Z going on that Punjabi MC song, there wasn't really much more I found. And Timbaland putting those elements in the beats wasn't the same thing I was looking for. Those were just parts of the beat. It's not like he was trying to make or embody like the Indian or Asian kind of sound. He was just using the sounds as part of the beat.
Like, he was teething bits from it.
Yeah, right.
That's basically what he's doing. He was just like, yeah, I'll take that, and then I'll.
It's just an interesting sound, right? So he kind
really
of
is.
take that, and he would take that and use that. So for this, when I saw it, even right down to the cover of it, that's so prototypically like what the Indian vinyls would look like with that color scheme and that faded kind of colors and the pure white and the way it's written and the way that he's probably taken some like actors or actresses on there, and because that's a big part. The whole Bollywood thing is a huge part of Indian culture and music as well. So when I saw that, and I knew who Madlib was, so when I saw that, I was like, whoa, what? Like, this is a new edge for this that I hadn't really come across. Hearing the samples flipped in this way, it felt like he actually went and got the vinyls or the records.
Right, it's very scratchy. It sounds super authentic. Sick. Like we used to have, like, I think it used to be on Sundays, like early morning. They used to always be, like, I think it was like Channel 4 or something. It used to always be like Indian films on, like terrestrial TV. I'm talking like back in the day.
Okay.
And it, like a lot of the aesthetic of the album reminds me of that, and it's like it's really cool. I totally see what you mean. I also think that there's I think the fact that you have pointed out the album art especially, I think highlights the level of care that Madlib actually has. He wants to make this a genuine fusion experience, and he's not just shamelessly appropriating Indian culture. It looks to me now that he's genuinely trying to make a fusion of what he loves and also what he's discovering. So
because that's very Madlib-esque, because he's always someone who's looking for new sounds and new vibes. He says that in his interviews. You should watch there's a show on YouTube called Red Bull Academy, or that's the channel, and they do these like proper sit downs with the artists on the couch, and the guy has like the DJ decks and he'll play the music that he's talking about, and they'll listen and then they'll talk about it. There's one with MF Doom, which is really, really good. It's really awkward. It's a bit awkward at certain times when they show people in the crowd like listening, because it's quite an intimate kind of group, and there's some people on like beanbags, some people in chairs, and it's weird like seeing them all like kind of trying to jam out to some MF Doom like when they play it. Like I get it when I'm sitting there at home and I'm listening and I'm like, it's more about how he's laying the verse down and stuff like that. But it's weird in that sense. But there's the one with Madlib, you should watch that, because you get a good sense of him as a producer, as a musician, as an artist. He always seems like he's spaced, but he's
fully in the room.
On point. But he embodies that, where he's like, I'm always on the lookout for the next new sound, the next new thing. And you bring up a good point about this being authentic, because when I listen to this, I don't feel like, again, with the Timbaland thing, where it's just using sounds because it sounds cool. It's like he's flipped the sample. We talked about in another episode before about you flip the sample and you embody the same vibe of the original, but it's not. It's like, where did that sample come from? Whoa. And then you listen to the actual sample, you're like, whoa, how did you flip that and turn it into this? These songs do sound like I see the scenes from like Bollywood movies and shit when I listen to this. Those drum sounds, they've got that particular crackle that the old Indian music would have. And there's a certain way their voices sounded through those recordings, which are just, I can't describe. There's this warmth and this, this, for me personally, obviously growing up in that community, there's like this very kind of nostalgic kind of tinge to it. But it's weird because it's updated, not with any mainstream hip hop, but with this more underground kind of hip hop, which I'm not expecting. And so then there's more that I think he plays with that, right? Yeah. And for him, I think he came across a lot of this stuff. He just made a bunch of beats out of it, and then put out volume 3, and then put out volume 4, and then when it came to streaming or whatever, or packaging it later, because they're part of the same, Indian samples kind of thing.
Exactly.
Just package it together. It's just a bunch of beats. You can just skip around. You don't need to listen in order. You can it's just more interesting, right? It's just a bunch of ideas he's put together.
That's it. It's a concept album.
Yeah, it's just my journey to India. I don't think he actually went there, but it's like my journey through the kind of that music. This is my flip on it. This is like an expression of that.
Exactly, it's my take on it. Yeah.
It's your take on it. And Madlib's got a very particular sound. So combine that with the aesthetic of the old Indian records and things like that.
Yeah.
It just sounds so good to me, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You know, some of these, I'm like, man, I wish I was at a level when this came out and I'd heard it and I had a working relationship with Madlib and I could have heard these beats before they came out and said, no, save that for me, save that for me, save that for me.
You'd have just had
I would have just had it.
Madlib double LP.
Yeah. Maybe not all these beats are, you know, because like you, again, there's stuff on here which is like, it just kind of comes and goes. It's just an expression of ideas, you know, it just flows like that. But this one has a particular, obviously, resonant quality to it for me because of the music he is flipping. Has a particular nostalgia for me because of how I grew up or whatever. But yeah, I never thought this kind of music would ever have been created or I'd ever come across it. And for it to be someone like Madlib,
I know, it's
okay.
Yeah, it's cool. Like it is cool. It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not like the best album of all time where it's like super kind of mind blowing. It's just
interesting.
Cool. Just interesting.
Exactly.
For me, it's just a particular interest, you know.
Exactly.
So
I feel you.
yeah, so I thought this would be interesting to talk about, to give to you as well, because I knew that you'd want a Madlib, because we'd been talking about Madlib. I knew you'd want a Madlib album, and then your excitement when I said it, I was like, okay, yeah, this guy, he's falling, he's falling into the trap. Because,
and then how my excitement died a death upon this.
Yeah, as soon as the hot curry comes in, right?
Yeah, I was just like, but basically, this is a life lesson. Don't get excited for anything. So it's all good.
This is your cynicism showing again.
Yeah, man. No, I'm not cynical. I'm just real.
Oh, okay. That's what every cynic says. But okay. Anyways,
it's real. Life is pain.
Yeah. Life is suffering.
Life is suffering. Pain is love.
Yeah. You know, Madlib does have a full-length solo album. I think that he's just released this year.
Yeah.
And I think apparently it's his first one. Like his actual, just a full music. Like when you talk about the DJ Shadow and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an actual musical album of his.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
I will check that out.
You can go check that out. It's not just a bunch of ideas. I think I did listen to it. I think it's more thought music. It's like musicianship.
Yeah, just give me songs, man. Just give me songs, not ideas. Yeah. So like, I'm actually not gonna do a top 5.
Yeah, I was thinking this would be interesting. How would you do a top 5?
There isn't, so I'm not gonna do it. But
I can do a top 5 for you.
Oh, look. All right, look. Hold on. All right, here we go. So, Indian Hump movie finale.
Banger. I'm saying this like I remember all of them. But
Dancing Girls.
Yep.
Piano Garden.
Okay, interesting.
And I've got 34 tunes to choose from. And
I should have given you a top 10, but yeah.
Get It Right.
Okay, I don't remember any of those. Actually, no, Get It Right is sick. The way he flipped that in that sample.
That is a Busta Rhymes track if ever I've heard one. And the bass line. Yes, the bass line. Yeah, love it. So yeah, they're my top 5. I've already forgotten which ones I've chosen. And
fair enough. That's how this works.
Get it out of
this
10.
particular album. Yeah. Well, how do you rate this? Because
I mean, it's neither terrible. It's neither like brilliantly amazing. I mean, you know,
interesting.
I do like Madlib and stuff, so it's
interesting out of 10.
5.5.
Okay, fair.
I can't do any more than that.
I can't expect you to be like, this is a masterwork of art. But
to
the listeners, if you just want something interesting, like if you haven't heard Indian kind of sample flips and stuff, this is the type of shit people go crazy over on YouTube, where it's like, watch me turn this old song from somewhere obscure into this, you know? Type of shit people, that kind of culture I don't think was there back in the time
Yeah.
So
we saw elements of it at that point. Like 2007 was very much.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Yeah,
you know, treading new water.
Exactly.
That's the phrase. But it's really cool. Yeah, man, wicked.
Sorry, I won't lull you into a false sense of security.
No, do you know what, man? No. It is cool because listen, revenge.
I say that, but that could be me lulling you into a falser sense of security. But
it is a dish best served cold. So you wait. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
All right. So wait, did you rated it? Yeah, 5.5.
5.5. Wow, that's the lowest one yet. Kofi Stone is the one to beat. Kofi Stone is the reigning champ.
Stone, still the one to beat. Yeah, still reigning the one to beat. Yeah, man. That's so weird. He watched that thing.
I know.
So good. It's so good, isn't it? It's sick.
Honestly, viewers, can you believe it? Listeners, can you believe it? Kofi Stone listened to us. And
it's crazy.
So, we will, it's a nice little win. But anyway,
it is a small, nice little win, and hopefully we can even get him on the show at some point. We'll just put that out in the universe.
Yeah. I think so. It'd be great to get like a new artist's take on the industry and
and just break down the album. Like he's the one who made it. It'll be interesting to know the ins and outs from his.
My goodness, and like how close were we?
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? How close were we to fully understanding? But
it's really weird. I started thinking to myself afterwards, shit. Okay, what exactly did I say about the album? What did I say about him? And I was thinking, oh man, did I say anything like really negative? And
you're right.
But I don't think I did. I think there was like one song I wasn't really feeling that much.
That was it. That was
it, right?
It was like the interlude.
That was it. Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
But I wonder. Flowery and like proper complimentary throughout.
Which is cool. Yeah, it must have been cool for him to hear.
Well, I mean, what a cool album. So he's the reigning champ. He's got the belt. D'Angelo is your reigning champ. I think he's going to be there for a while, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. But actually, I'm thinking about some of these albums that are on my list to give to you.
Yeah, man. So let's do it.
Ooh, I do wonder if anything on here might actually beat out Kofi. I'm sure there will be something.
Yeah.
But okay. So, do you have an album for me?
You go first, mate.
Sure. Okay. Well, because of our conversation earlier, something else has come up where I'm not sure which one to give you now. But I think I'll stick to my guns. And you dodged the Drake bullet last time. This time I'm gonna give you "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late" by Drizzy Drake. And
hold on, let me see if
don't lie.
I'm checking it on my phone.
Don't lie. Don't lie.
Oh no, I don't think I've heard it.
Sick. All right, yeah.
So that one.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, you give me Drake.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Do you know what? Any money, like, I'm gonna turn into a flipping believer, aren't I? I'm gonna be like, oh my god, Drake, stick. Like, to be honest, there have been a couple of tunes. So, like, as I've said before, like the DJ Khaled tune with Drake, like I'm on one. Flipping love that tune.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the first time I heard Drake, like way back when. It's like,
that's a good introduction to Drake then. Yeah.
Love the tune. Haven't heard anything like it since. Oh, I love it. Like, absolutely love that one. But yeah, let me give you. Oh,
what is it?
No. So you've heard that. I am torn in between two albums. One by 4 Hero.
Okay. Who's that?
Okay, you're getting it. So 4 Hero.
Wait, who was the other one?
Can only accept your first answer.
No, I want to know.
It was either 4 Hero or The Grind Date by De La Soul. Have you heard that?
I've heard one song off that, the MF Doom one, and that's it. So
if it's got what I think about it, yeah, much more is on there. Yeah, it's the yeah. Do you know what? I'll give you De La Soul, The Grind Day.
Sick. Yes.
I'll give you that.
I think that's the one De La Soul album I haven't actually listened to, or there's two I haven't listened to. Perfect. That's been waiting on my list for ages.
Yeah, perfect. Do you know what? It's
I love De La Soul.
I will happily listen to that again. I think that came out in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
No. That was the anonymous something.
Really?
Grind Date. Yeah, Grind Date was way before that.
Are you joking? Hang on. When did you come out?
Sure.
Oh, do you know what? That's cool then.
Yeah, De La Soul. Grind Date was 2004.
Holy moly!
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
The Anonymous Nobody was 2016.
Well. Yeah, man. Yeah. So that was when I didn't really know about De La Soul back in like my early sort of like finding out music, because when we were younger, we had like Napster and stuff. Like,
oh, okay.
That was like the progenitor of online, streaming and stuff like that, right? But De La Soul, it was all about like Nas, Jay-Z, like Busta Rhymes, Tribe Called Quest, Farside.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Pastor Troy, Exhibit, so on
Pastor
and so
Troy,
on.
I haven't heard his name in ages. Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, so a quick aside, I remember me and my brother went to the Caribbean, 1998, and it sort of blew my mind because I started paying attention to the kind of like TV they had out there in the Caribbean.
Okay.
American TV they'd get, right?
Sure.
So I was about 14 and I went away as this sort of like musical kind of like, didn't know anything. When I came back and I got a month's worth of American TV in my ass, right? I came back and I'd heard of like Slum Village, De La Soul, The Roots, not De La Soul, Pastor Troy, The Roots, like loads and loads of hip hop and stuff. It was a really, really formative time. And De La Soul managed to sort of escape me. Like throughout most of my life, I've had to go hunting for them. They weren't ever in my sphere. Like I never heard them on the radio. I never saw videos of them, but I always heard that De La Soul were amazing. And they, everyone was like bowing down in reverence to them. With the music that they produced and also the rhyme schemes that they hatched, right? And I think they've one of the few artists that you can say like really do stand the test.
Oh yeah, man. Like, have you heard the albums? Like, as in some of the earlier ones? Like,
I have. You can tell they're old, but the sort of sentiment, the way, the rapping, the overall package it feels timeless. Like, but again, like with D'Angelo, like the drums date D'Angelo, right? Yeah. And I find that some of the production on De La Soul, like obviously,
I think it's the samples, it's the heavy, because they're massive sample beds. That's why they're not on streaming, and that might be why maybe you didn't hear it on the radio as much, because they got sued later on in their career. They went through these like battles with trying to clear all these samples, because when they first did it, it was still early stages where sampling wasn't on the radar of like wider kind of mainstream audiences or the government or just the industry in general, right? In America. Okay. And then a lot of kind of the old school hip hop acts had to then suddenly go through all these like clearances and stuff. Their labels didn't even care about clearing like small things. And then it became this big thing where now you can't have like a copy of anything in your song without any kind of form of contractual permission or that it's been licensed to you and all that, and you've paid for it. De La Soul is a huge victim of that. I think they even started like a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter for trying to get that Anonymous Nobody album in 2016 to actually get that done and get it out, and which is a shame because they're just really, really good musicians, really good artists. They're one of the few groups that have stuck together as well, and that album was good too. They didn't compromise their sound or anything. So it's a shame that you can't go on streaming services and find Three Feet High and Rising or De La Soul Is Dead, because those albums are fucking incredible, and Balloon Mind State as well. Fucking incredible albums, and they're staples in hip hop and just music in general. But you can't go and find them. I think Grind Date and that other album are the only ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a shame. There was another album of theirs with a black front cover, and it was just so good. There was a song with Common on that, which is so good. I can't remember the name. So good, man. The whole album, the vibe is so good.
It's a real shame that they've deplatformed one of the greats. That's basically what's happened, you know.
I don't think you can find them on iTunes either. Like, you can't. You have to like get their shit from like CD or vinyl and stuff.
Tapes. That's when I remember it, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I remember. Actually, you know what?
Tapes were a thing, man. Don't. You know.
No, I remember the tape because, like, you know, it's all about the Indian stuff. My mom used to actually have a lot of music. Actually, I think the Indian kind of thing was a bit further behind in terms of its catching up to technology and the way that everything worked. A lot of people were still using tapes.
Sure.
There were these shops that were always just selling just tapes upon tapes.
If it ain't broke, then don't fix it, though. There's nothing wrong with it.
I guess. You know, I think tapes are making a bit of a resurgence in the same way vinyl did, but as a collector's kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like, I've still got one of my earliest tapes was like Now 35 in 96.
Wow. I didn't even know those things still get made. I think I saw one on Spotify and I was like
now
what?
174,000. I don't know what it is. No, man, we had some bangers on there. Jamiroquai, Virtual Insanity. That was the only notable one, because it had other tunes like Ant and Dec.
Yeah, I remember.
Girls, George Michael.
This was the struggle back in the day, man. I remember going to my cousin's house and she had a Walkman. Or I had a Walkman, but the only CD she had, I hadn't bought any CDs with me because I was an idiot, right? Or maybe it's because it was her Walkman, so I didn't bring any CDs because why would I?
Yeah, true.
It feels weird that you'd have to bring CDs with you, right?
Yeah.
But she had this Now Whatever CD, and it had one Eminem song on it, which was Without Me, and it's like that's not even like my favorite Eminem song.
Not even the best one.
But every other song on there, I was like, no, I don't want any of this shit.
Like Maroon 5 and shit.
Yeah,
like that.
I wasn't listening to that shit. So I was like, I had that Eminem song just on repeat and I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. And it feels so strange to think about that now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, do you have the music channels? Maybe 50 Cent might come on. If we just keep skimming through the channels, something will land on something, right? It feels so weird where now I can just go and pick and choose.
Yeah.
It's so strange that was actually a point in time I had to do that, you know. I think my generation kind of had that little in-between transition where we still had CDs in our cars, and then it moved to like iPods or those small MP3 players, and then iPods and stuff.
Some of us still got CDs in our car.
Well, under this chair here, oh no, they've been moved.
Denied.
I've got a whole bunch because when my parents moved out their house, I had to go back and get all my CDs, and I'm really attached to them because I don't want to sell any of them, and because I built up quite a collection, and I bought quite a few of them here. They're not up there, no, but there's some in the cupboard there. But there's like 3 massive drawers full of CDs, and they're still in my car because I just haven't got the space in here yet. And they've been there since October, I think.
Oh wow, dude.
They're just in the boot of a car that I don't really use as much anymore. There's a bunch of shit in that car, like that I pulled over from that house.
So basically, he's painted a target on his back. You know, like
I know. I just realized this when I said it.
Yeah, and you know what Little Uzi Vert did? You know, he put that diamond thing in his forehead. He, like, put a price on your own head. You've said that it's worth $24 million or something like that. Someone's going to cut your head off, mate.
Some people would do that.
Genuinely. It's going to be like Highlander stuff out here. People are going to be like, I want his head, give me all the knowledge. Yeah.
Well, saying that makes me feel a bit better about outing where my CDs are. Because one, you don't know what CDs I have. Two, you don't know where I live. Three, you don't even know what card to look for. Four, I can just reiterate. Point two, you don't know where I live. So let's keep it like that.
Exactly. Here's a lesson, for all of the listeners. Don't be like little Uzi Vert and literally put a price on your head.
Or just don't be like him in general.
I mean, people really like his music. I don't.
I think out of the new guys, he was a more interesting one to me at the time.
He's the best of a bad bunch. That's like saying, do you know what I mean? Who's best looking at the Burns victim unit right in the hospital? Like, do you know what I mean?
I guess.
No, man, I'm sorry, I can't. I just can't have it, like, at all. I see his face and I'm like, your face is stupid. Like, the tattoos are stupid. Your gem in the middle of your head is stupid. And your music isn't even that good. Like, you've got ability. He's got ability. He does.
He has got ability. He has, like, technical ability. He just doesn't put any words in there.
Just, your music sucks. It's devoid of
nuance.
Oh, man, I'm getting on my... I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm proper grumpy. So...
It happens, man.
Do you know what I mean? No, it's not good for the it's not good for the listeners. Sorry, listeners. But anyway, we've been going.
It's fine. Bit of fire, bit of passion, bit of disagreement.
Man. Bit of rage.
Bit of rage, man. It's all good. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who are like, what was that fuck shit that he's putting that stupid thing into his head?
I just don't understand it, dude.
And apparently it's wonky, and he's saying it's not. But everyone's like, look at it. I haven't really seen more pictures, but
how would you put it in your head? Like,
I don't really understand that part. Won't it like hit a vein or something? Like, you look at mine, I've got like a vein there. If I was to do that, would it not just like, doesn't it go into your head? Like, it's not like a soft piece of skin like the earlobe. This is like going into your fucking...
Would you have to like literally drill it into your skull, or would you have like because you can get these weird little pins, right, that just sit just under the skin and stick out, and then they can...
So it's hacked.
So maybe it can like hang on
there. Yeah, maybe that's why it's wonky.
But do you know what? He's not really thought this through, because if you go into the sea, that's going to sting. If you have to towel off or you get wet, like, that's really going to hurt, right? He hasn't really thought this through. What if you're putting on your pajamas and you're just like, oh my God, and then like you're bleeding out your face?
That is true.
There are so many other compromising things that happen. Like somebody throws like your coat at you, and all of a sudden like one of the buttonholes gets like over your thing, stuck. Do you know what I mean? You haven't thought about this.
Yeah,
can't wear a hat anymore.
I think that's clear to everyone. He hasn't thought about it.
Yeah,
it makes me uncomfortable, because I'm just imagining if I had something up there on my head like that, wouldn't your eyes strain as well, because you could feel that something's there?
Man, like, you would have a headache.
Your perception would, when things get closer to your eyesight and you start to strain them because they're like going into the middle like that. If you can feel something there, you're going to constantly feel that, aren't you? Yeah. Surely everyone gets that. Yeah, like that's it makes me uncomfortable thinking about it, let alone having something stuck into my fucking forehead. Like, that's crazy.
Well, basically, what's going to happen is Thanos is going to come down the universe from somewhere in the universe, just tear it out of his head. We've all seen what happens.
Yeah, we all saw that. Spoiler alert, which was too late, but
yeah. Sorry, if you've not seen Avengers Endgame, then you deserve to get spoiled. Like, what's Infinity War, that was.
That was Infinity War, yeah.
That was Infinity War. No, Endgame.
Yeah.
All right, we won't spoil that, but...
Yeah, we won't spoil that. Don't worry, I knew people that only watched it during the lockdown period.
Were they Marvel fans beforehand?
Not really.
Then they're excused. If you're a Marvel fan and you haven't seen, Infinity Part 1 and Part 2, then you need to sort that out quickly.
Actually, no, my brother did. I was going to say, I was surprised that my brother hadn't seen a certain movie, and I was like, he hasn't seen all the Avengers movies, and he's like a huge Marvel fan. He had all the comic books and stuff as well. I was like, what the fuck? You do know this stuff is available. Like, even if you missed it in the cinema. I missed a few in the cinema, but after a certain point, like after I think Black Panther, I was there for every single one, just because
Even Captain Marvel.
I just was. Yeah, I liked Captain Marvel.
Did you? Okay. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Yeah, man. Oh, man. There's quite a few I haven't seen. I haven't seen any of the Spider-Mans.
What?
I haven't seen Captain Marvel. I haven't seen Ant-Man or Ant-Man 2.
See, the thing is, for me,
they're not essential.
This is the thing. I would have said that to you before, but when I did like a rewatch during the first lockdown, because they were all on Disney, you start to realize how many story points and stuff are actually tied into every single film.
Yeah, definitely.
Even in Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't realize that they mentioned all the Infinity Stones and stuff like that. I was like, whoa, in Guardians of the Galaxy, as in just from memory, I couldn't, but watching them all in order again, you're like, wait, whoa, they mentioned it in Guardians of the Galaxy. I watched that film by accident because we had a free movie voucher. Yeah. And I didn't even know it was a Marvel film. I just knew it was a film that had come out. And my partner was like, oh, should we just go watch that? Yeah. And then we were like, oh shit, it's a Marvel film. Like when the credits came at the beginning. And then, so from my memory, like it's not like Spider-Man. It's not like Iron Man. Those are like big names. Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't really a big name.
They're kind of new. That was the thing. They were completely out of the blue.
Yeah.
And,
but they tied
even my wife really, really enjoyed that film. She was like, I don't know about
that film.
I don't know about the stones and all of that. I was just like, it's because of Thanos. He's coming.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like it's because of this. I had a friend who watched them all, right? And then I'd be like, oh, so what did you think of each one, right? And blah 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 as they were watching it. And I even started. I was like, oh, you're getting me in the mood to rewatch them. So I started rewatching them. I overtook them somehow, right? And then I was like, at some point, and they were like, yeah, this one's good. This one's good. Yeah, this one, I really like this one, but this one, whatever. And I was like, okay, do you know what's happening though? Like you're quite a few films in. Do you know what's happening? It's like, nah, sometimes I'm just on my phone. I was like, what the like, do you know what the Infinity Stones are? It's like, what? I was like, oh, mate. So I was like, okay, you've got Doctor Strange coming up next. I need to break down to you what's happened. I need to summarize what's happened so that these next films make sense. And they were like, oh, I didn't realize they were all interconnected. And I was like, fair enough. When you do a full rewatch from beginning to end, you really get how interconnected it is. When they came out in cinema, this is like over 10 years. You can forget certain film stuff. But Captain Marvel was a good film, man. I don't care what anyone online says. That's a good film. Which one did you haven't seen? Ant-Man. That's a fun film as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think I was a bit marveled out. Like, I only cared about Guardians of the Galaxy, really, and the Avengers movies.
Right,
those are the only ones I really cared about. I mean,
no love for Spider-Man?
Dude, it's like, what, the third iteration of Spider-Man?
Yeah, it is.
I don't care. Like, I was there for the Tobey Maguire.
Oh, well, there's rumors that he might be coming into Spider-Man 3, and I really hope that it's true, because that would blow my fucking mind. That would just bring my life full circle from my childhood.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Well, there's talk of all of them, like Andrew Garfield
as well, the worst Spider-Man, but that's whatever.
I didn't think he was that bad.
I thought he was a terrible Spider-Man.
Really?
Not terrible, but he was too cool to be Peter Parker. He was, he didn't embody the kind of, Tobey Maguire was like Peter Parker.
He just had a face. Like, I hated Tobey Maguire. I just wanted to kick him in the face.
I think that's the point, right? But then,
No, but you're meant to like Spider-Man. With Tobey Maguire, I just found this rage. I was just like, in Spider-Man 2, when he's like dead on the front, well, not dead, but like beaten and battered at the front of the train when he's just stopped it from falling off. I was just like, good. Like, I flipping hate you. Alfred Molina as the as Dr. Octopus. I was like, crush him, kill him, get him. Wow. I hate him.
You're meant to relate to Peter.
I couldn't, not with that face. He's got a face not even a mother could love.
Fucking hell, man. That's the second time you've pulled that insult out.
I can't stand him.
But anyways, maybe we should wrap this up.
We definitely should.
Yeah, I mean, we tried this time. I even have a stopwatch out, and I've just been ignoring it. But but this ties in. There's a lot of overlap between hip hop fans and comic book fans and Marvel fans, superheroes, all that sort of stuff. They all kind of intertwine.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it's not surprising that we'd geek out over this stuff as well as the music that we love. Just tied into this sort of shit as well. So
the films that we love as well. Yeah.
And the films that we love, and we always make the references about how you create albums. It's similar to how you structure and sequence movies and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's all art at the end of the day. So there's going to be some overlap.
And with great power comes great responsibility. So.
Thank you, David. Thank you. All right. So so do you want to outro this?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I honestly, sorry, listeners. I don't know what's wrong with you today. But anyway, all right.
Man.
Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to the podcast today. We do hope you've enjoyed this, especially tangent-filled one. And like, we're getting worse, dude. We're not getting better.
Now listen, I was going to say, I thought we would get better. I thought at the beginning this is gonna get better. No, we're on track. This just went out the window.
It completely went out the window.
I don't care anymore.
Not a problem. We will try and get better. But if we don't judge us too much. We just love talking.
I take back what I said about not caring.
Yeah, we do care. We care too much. We're artists out here. Anyway,
so we're simultaneously both. But yeah.
So thank you very much, everybody, and this has been a lot of fun. So thank you very much.
It really has.
And blessings to you guys if you're still here. We will be out. We'll see you soon. Peace.